This episode of Recording Studio Rockstars is brought to you by Atom Audio, Isotope, Native Instruments, Lewitt, and Grace Design. You're hearing my voice right now on the Lewitt PureTube microphone through the Grace Design M201 Mark II mic pre mixed through Isotope, RX, Ozone, Neutron, and Nectar, all on Atom Audio monitors. Please check out our awesome sponsors using the link in the show notes below. It's a great way to help support this show, and there's some great deals waiting for you there. Now get ready to rock.
It's a whole different situation now, but I'll still have an instrument with me because it sets a certain tone, even if I know I'm not going to use it. It's like I'll have that instrument with me because when the artist sees you walk in with an instrument, they hold like everything changes. The bigger producers and the bigger you get, sometimes the ego is there. But like when you walk in with that instrument, you fit to whatever ego there is.
Welcome to Recording Studio Rockstars. I'm Lid Shaw, and this is the podcast created to help you become a rock star of the recording studio. Look, if you're like me, then you love having cool instruments in your studio, right? No matter what style of music you make, Native Instruments gives your studio all the instruments and sounds you need, from drums, loops, and beats to the coolest synthesizers, realistic strings, guitar amps, and futuristic synth pads. I love recording and tracking real bands in my studio, but then adding awesome overdubs from Contact, Massive X, Super 8, Battery, Guitar Rig, and Hybrid Keys, for example. Use the code ROCK10 now to get 10% off, or get Complete Start for free today with a bundle of 2,000 sounds and 6 gigs of samples, all over at nativeinstruments.com. Are you recording your own music or other people's music in your studio, but you're having trouble figuring out how to get your mixes to sound great? Do they sound kind of weak or distant or lack punch and clarity? Well, I've got a gift to help you take your mixes from sounding like basement demos to sounding much closer to professional mixes. And it's my free course called Mix Master Bundle. This course will show you how to get pro-sounding mixes from your home studio with free and stock plugins in Pro Tools, and the best part is that these mixing techniques work for you in any DAW, whether you're on Logic, Cubase, Studio One, Reaper, anything you can think of. If you're ready now to make your best record ever, then go to mixmasterbundle.com to get started for free now, and you can find the clickable link in the show notes of this episode. Howdy, Rockstars. It's your host, Lid Shaw, and welcome back to Recording Studio Rockstars, bringing you into the studio to learn from recording professionals so that you can make your best record ever and be a rock star of the studio yourself. My guest today is Dominique Sanders, an accomplished producer and composer from Kansas City, Missouri, now living in Los Angeles. By age 16, he had performed for the Queen of England and established himself as a mainstay in the Kansas City music scene. During one of his many shows in the area, Dom was discovered by Tech9, which started a writing-producing partnership that continues to this day. Dom currently resides in Los Angeles, California, and is a published songwriter and producer at Prescription Songs. Notable works of his include many of Tech9's #1 Billboard chart debuts and collaborations with Nipsey Hussle, James Fauntleroy, Jidenna, Janelle Monea, The Game, Jay Prince, Snoop Dogg, and Boyz II Men, Herbie Hancok, Robert Glasper, Wiz Kalifa, Chance the Rapper, and many, many more. I want to give a big thank you and a shout out to Kelle Musgrave at Linear Management for helping make our introduction. Please welcome Dominique Sanders to Recording Studio Rockstars. Dom, are you ready to rock, my friend?
Yeah, let's rock. Let's do it.
All right, cool, man. Good to have you here, dude. It's great to meet you. I really, I enjoy doing interviews like this where it's somebody really super brand new to me. Because it's just like, it's a whole new world of music to discover. And your playlist sounds awesome.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, this is the first time we've had you on the show. Can you give us a kind of an introduction in your own words about how you got into music and ended up landed out in LA making records. I mean, our listeners are pro and home studio folks that are making, summer in pro studios, summer in home studios. Everybody's just trying to make a great sounding record.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I mean, the core of my music, it all stems from the bass. Like I'm a professional. Upright bass is actually my main instrument.
That's what you studied, at first growing up?
Yeah. Well, you start on the piano when you're a little kid. I feel like every little kid on the piano in some kind of way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
But
it's smart if you do. I mean, I wish I did more.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I wasn't Beethoven or nothing, but we had a piano around, like, so I would just like kind of mess with it and do that. But like the instrument that I was like studied on and really kind of went all the way in with and still do today is the bass, like specifically the upright bass. So that honestly, that was kind of like the main intro. It's a kind of a unique instrument that it's always like it's an interesting instrument because I tell people it's an instrument that you don't normally go into a session or into something being like, yeah, we definitely need upright bass, but it's an instrument you never turn away. You know what I mean? Where it's like, let's try it, whatever. You know what I mean? Like if it's around, let's try it. So that opened the doors to a lot of collaboration and a lot of music playing that instrument for sure.
Did you start off like when you picked up the bass, were you immediately playing with other people or did you just play by yourself?
I was like 13 years old. Started with the cello. You gotta start with the cello first to make sure.
Were you like, Mom, Dad, by the way, I'm gonna need an Ampeg 810 here in my bedroom?
I wasn't like, I mean, my mom, my dad was cool. Like he was kind of, I mean, I guess it's a little different dynamic. Like, he was like, yeah, we'll see if you like it. My mom, like, they weren't like super happy that I picked that just because it was one of the more expensive instruments that you could have picked. So it wasn't like they weren't overjoyously celebrating like, oh, I'm so glad. But my mom, like, I think it was really my mom. She was like, yeah, I think he actually has a talent that's a little different. Let's go ahead and spend the money to like nurture it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did your parents play music too?
Nah. I'm like, really nobody in my family does music or does. Or I have an uncle that played the keyboard kind of, but like, yeah, nobody in my immediate family really does music or was trying to do music or.
Yeah, that's cool. So you really just like started a whole new thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's a super new thing,
Now, I remember when one of the first instruments I got invited to play in a band setting was actually bass. And I kind of had to learn, and I started with guitar and I had to learn, you don't play bass like a guitar riff all the time. I mean, I guess you can, but like bass is different.
Yeah, it's super. I mean, it's a unique thing just because specifically related to Kansas City. Like Kansas City is such a jazz capital and a hub for that music. Being a bass player there, like you get at the age of like literally like 19, I was playing like minimum two nights a week. I mean, two times every night, basically a week. So like basically like 12 to 14 shows a week.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah. Kansas City is it's kind of like the perfect instrument because a lot of people can't play it, and the ones that do can't play it really well. And it's like you kind of have to have it if you're doing jazz in that type of way. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's just like it kind of worked out in this unique kind of way where it's like I was playing too many shows, like too much than you could even like imagine, you know what I mean? So
what's some of the Kansas City history that's really good for us to know about with music?
Man, I mean,
what are some of your favorites to come out of Kansas City?
Like, I mean, obviously like the Charlie Parker is like, the main, like Charlie Parker changed music like for everybody.
Yeah.
Talking about jazz, rock and roll, whatever. Like, so Charlie Parker, you got just even from just the area of Kansas City, like Coleman Hawkins, on the jazz tip, Benny Moten, Count Basie, in a little, and you fast forward, I'm just naming off people off the top of my head, but you fast forward years from them, then you get into people like the Pat Metheny's.
Pat Metheny was from Kansas City before he was like in Massachusetts and stuff.
Yeah, Pat Metheny's from Lee Summit, Missouri. Like, which is it's like a suburb. Yeah, his brother Mike still lives there. His whole family still lives.
Right, Mike's a trumpet player, right?
Yeah, he's a trumpet player. Yeah, yep. Yeah,
that's partly where like Pat got that idea for that sound, I guess, right?
Exactly. Yeah, yep, yeah. But and then fast forward from even Pat now, I guess he's a mainstay, I guess, person at this point in the history timeline. But like fast forward, from Pat, and then you go into, it starts kind of transforming into more on the production side, I guess you could say. But you get people like, the underdogs. So Damian Thomas, who they had one of the most legendary runs in music in the 2000s, just number one. Damian Thomas from Kansas City, Brian Kennedy from Kansas City, Jeff Bhasker from Kansas City, so just like this kind of like really rich history. And the difference with people, a lot of these people that I'm talking about are even beyond them being producers. Every person in Kansas playing the instrument is like critical in the Kansas City culture, as opposed to like a lot of other places. It's like people don't really take you serious unless you're like a master almost on your instrument.
So for you started out on piano and picked up the bass, but then you really learned your jazz theory as a teen?
Yeah, like a late teen. Yeah, 20.
Was that all during high school, or was that like, did you end up going to college program for that as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like I did the high school jazz band thing. For 2 years, I believe, like 2 years I did that. Made like the what was it called, like the all district jazz band, where you meet other kids from around the city that are really talented. Got some cool relationships from that, and then did the all state audition jazz thing. So I was down there doing that, and then from there I actually went to a college called UMKC. It's a music conservatory, actually. It just randomly in Kansas City, there's one of the best actual conservatories in music, which is like a little different than a normal music school, because it's like super music intense, because it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went there for like 2.5 years, and then faded from that. Like basically like dropped out from that, and started doing what I'm doing now,
And now for the rock stars that don't know this, the Kansas City is split, right? It's Kansas City, Missouri, and is it also across, or am I messing this up? Is it also across the river in Kansas?
Yeah. So there's Kansas City, Missouri, and then Kansas City, Kansas. Also, I mean, like, I feel like this is his whole argument. I'm sure, like, wherever you're from, like, there's always these in city rivalries or whatever. But
right.
I'm not even trying to go there with it. But like the Kansas City, that when you're talking about the Chiefs and all of this stuff, that I think people, the barbecue and all that, is on the Missouri side. But honestly, like, even from Kansas City, Kansas, there is some of the most talented people that, and it's all the same thing, honestly. But like even from Kansas City, Kansas, there's some of the most talented people. Janelle Monea is from Kansas City, Kansas. I mean, there's a lot of people very talented from Kansas City, Kansas, as well. But it's
St. Louis is similar. I mean, you got East St. Louis right across the river too.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So you guys meet you guys meet halfway on the bridge and have thumb wrestling matches.
Yeah, it's a big deal for, like, once you leave, you honestly stop caring, and it's just like, it's all the same thing. Like
Yeah,
it literally doesn't matter.
So as far as like where you were playing a lot of music, was that on both sides of the river, different places?
Mainly in the Missouri side, just because like that's where most of the jazz clubs are in Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah,
Um,
there's quite a tourism industry
yeah,
there too, right?
yeah, it's huge. Like between the barbecue, I mean, like jazz music is such an integral part of that. When you arrive at the KC airport, all you see is jazz, all you hear is jazz. Like for 21-year-old kids, instead of going out to the nightclub, they go to the jazz clubs, and that's kind of like the hangout spot for the young singles and the whole. It's just a really unique culture that doesn't exist too many places.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, my brother, he decided to study jazz, so he studied piano up in Minneapolis actually, and then ended up out in New York. And of course, I got a little taste of the New York jazz scene, and I was always like a super fan of jazz, but just never really put in the time to learn it on guitar.
Yeah, jazz guitar is probably the hardest. I mean,
you think so? Oh man, you're making me feel much better about it.
I would say, yeah. Like, I mean, it's because you're doing everything. You got the harmony, the lead, and you're playing these abstract chords that are not easy. They're not normal shapes that your hand goes in.
Yeah, exactly. You're like you're never playing just the basic chord.
Nah, not at all. Yeah.
Right on. Well, so let's see. So you were studying there, and then you had some interesting stuff. Like in your bio, it says you got a chance to play for the Queen of England. Tell us that little story. What's that all about?
Yeah, I did. So that was in 2006. Yeah, 2006. It might have been 2006, like early, but it was like late 2006. We went to Virginia. It was America's 400th like anniversary or whatever, like birthday. Mm-hmm. And that was out in Virginia. This was like before Obama was there actually, and it was funny because like I was talking to him for almost like 25 minutes because they were like in this area that we were in, him and his wife, and he was a senator at that time. George Bush was the president, and it was this big like inauguration where they just brought out some of the like more talented kids, and they invited everybody out to Virginia to play with the National Symphony for this like 400th anniversary. And it was a really big deal because that was the first time that the Queen of England had come over to America in a super long time.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, it was like this, I mean, at 16, it's a big, but you don't really care. You just, I'm out there. It's like, oh, there's girls from all around the country. That's what I'm there for. So,
yeah, exactly.
Like, but like, so like the Queen of England is there, and she's like sitting front row, while we're doing this concert, like literally like maybe 20 feet or something away, and. Like looking back on it now, like honestly, I was like so many people were coming up and talking. I met so many people like while I was there, and so many people were coming up and talking to me, and it didn't click to me until a couple of years after that. Honestly, I was like, dang, I wonder like I just like everybody was talking to me, and I was like, oh, because there was like literally maybe like 4 Black people at this event, so it was kind of like you're different, you know what I mean? Like how are you? And like so it's it kind of clicked. And the funny thing we were doing, man, what were we playing? I can't remember what exact song we were doing.
You guys were doing jazz though?
No. This was actually with the symphony. So
oh wow. Well, yeah, so you had experience playing with the symphony. But you do the bust out the bow for that stuff?
Exactly. Yeah. I did the symphony for years, like played classical.
Wow.
Like the whole thing.
And then like with a whole row of basses.
A whole row of basses.
What's that like, man? What's that sound like? I've never, I mean, I know it in hearing a symphonic recording, but I've never actually talked to somebody about that. Is that like
it's a sound
remarkable thing to stand next to all these basses bowing the same note?
I mean, it's just remarkable to stand next to that many group of high level musicians creating music. You know what I mean? Like that's something you can't ever, there's no plug-in or no whatever that can like really duplicate that feeling and that sound. Even that was special because there was fireworks going with it, and we were doing that's what we were doing. We were doing the overture like that.
Right, 1812.
Exactly, yeah. And yeah, so like there's fireworks going, the part that everybody knows.
Right,
fireworks.
The fireworks actually have a part.
Exactly.
In the musical piece, right?
Literally, yeah. There's like in that song, so that was cool. And yeah, like the Queen, I actually got to talk to her and introduce myself to her. That was cool. And then right before, there's actually a clip. It's still on like C-SPAN. I like looked maybe a year ago just because I was curious. And there's a clip you can see me like in it. George Bush, he kind of like ran up on the stage, like past the security and all that, and grabbed the baton from the director and started directing all of us. And he came directly over to the bases and was like doing this thing. Like, so
that's hilarious.
That's what that story, long story short, that's kind of how that happened.
Thanks, W.
Yeah, so that was cool. That was you don't really realize how cool it was till way later. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now in hindsight, have you gone back and watched that the show The Crown?
I haven't seen that yet. Somebody was just talking about it.
You should do, man. You dig it. It's pretty good. It's pretty entertaining.
Okay, fire.
You'd be like, yeah, that was her. Yeah, here's her as in her younger days.
Right.
Because I think they talk about, the Queen taking trips around the world at different times.
Yeah.
And so it probably was, it probably like make sense in that context.
No, for sure.
Adam Audio's S-Series, crafted in Berlin, is a flagship line of reference monitors featuring 5 models from the compact S2V all the way up to the powerful S5H. The range builds on Adam Audio's iconic heritage with new technology for improved acoustic performance. With new woofers, redesigned waveguides, and a DSP engine, the S-Series ensures accurate frequency response, consistent dispersion, enhanced detail, and a forward-looking digital connectivity. Backed by a 5-year guarantee, Adam Audio monitors embody durability and professional sound for your studio at adamaudio.com. Well, that's cool, man. So then tell us about connecting with the production side of things in Kansas City and then making your way out to Los Angeles.
Yeah, so like I was doing the intense music thing, like I said, the classical music, jazz in college. And also I really was switched my major to be music education. Just because I was like, okay, if I'm gonna get a degree in music, I at least want it to be something that you kind of need a degree to do. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you don't really need a degree to go on the road and play jazz. Yeah. So like I was like, if I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna do it, let me at least do that. So it's kind of like 2 majors that was happening at once. That, so I was doing that for about like 2 years. 2 years, a little bit longer, like 2.5 years. And then
and here you are on Recording Studio Rockstars. We're gonna make you teach us some stuff too.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, and so like kind of long story short on that, like fast forwarded, I was I like kind of knew about making like what you would call beats or whatever. But really didn't have, and like there's a jazz club in Kansas City called the Mutual Musicians Foundation. It's actually the oldest, it's the oldest running jazz club in the world. It's been around since like 92, and it was the first Black African American. It was the first union that they had. So like the first Black musicians union. So like, musicians back then, you had to be part of the union to play in New York and all these other places. But for all the musicians, so Charles Mingus, whoever, their union was in Kansas City at this place. And so like people would go to this place and it's actually a place where people would play. One of Clint Eastwood's first movies that he directed was called The Last of the Blue Devils back in the 70s, I believe. And it was all about this place. So like Count Basie and everybody was there. And it's like a really like Kansas City, they still do music to this day. Like, but the music starts at 1 a.m. and it stops at 7, and they serve alcohol till like 8 in the morning.
Good Lord, man.
Yeah, it's a real job. Yeah.
I guess you learn how to sleep in the day.
You just learn how to not sleep and just stay awake. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think about that Mr. Like there was a Mr. Rogers spoof way back when where he's interviewing a bass player actually. And he's like, and the bass player's like, yeah, man, I get up around, I don't know, I get up around noon or something like that.
Yeah, really.
So playing some music.
Yep. Yeah. So I was played there a bunch. Like I was playing there like almost every weekend. And it's a late night spot, everybody, because there's nothing else open after 4:00. So it was like everybody in the city is at this place.
And do you have a lot of the greats would come and be in town just because that was the home base?
Yeah. No, that was like the start. Like Charlie Parker. I don't know if everybody knows the story where Charlie Parker moved to New York, where it's like he moved because like he was playing in Philly Joe Jones, who was like Elvin Jones.
Papa Joe Jones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Papa Joe like threw a cymbal at Charlie because he was playing like basically bebop. You know what I mean?
Holy shit.
And that it was in that place is where it happened. Like, so he threw a cymbal at him and was like, this trash, get out of here. Like, and so he was like, I don't think it's trash. I think it's great. Forget this. I'm going to New York and I'm gonna find some friends. And then he met, Miles and everybody on the way.
So was Papa Joe Jones, did he have his signature smile on the whole time while he threw the cymbal at him?
I can only imagine what it looked like. You know what I mean? But yeah, that symbol changed the course of history. You know what I mean?
Why is there a history of angry drummers?
I think I don't even know if it's a drummer. I think, as the older I get, the more I get it.
Yeah.
I think it's just the age thing. You know what I mean?
Just protecting the good music from the bad.
It's just the age thing. It's just, you know what I mean? Once you get past a certain age, you're not really trying to like really hear new you know what I mean? And I never understood that. I'm 33 now, and in 20 years, like I'm gonna be the guy where it's just like, this sucks. Like this, let me show you. You know what I mean?
You're like, that's not an 808. Let me show you an 808.
Yeah. Back in my day, I'm gonna be that guy. So I get it. I think it's that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, do you find yourself? Do you like have your own way of like pushing your boundaries so that you don't so that you're always like discovering something new?
Yeah, definitely. Like for me, I mean, my average work week is like, we might. Like literally like in a week, it might be like, okay, we're working with Good Charlotte on Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we're working with YG doing all gangster rap. Then Thursday, might do a live show, like a live jazz show. And then Friday, we're working with whatever, something for Kelly Clarkson, singer, songwriter, whatever. So It literally like,
where was the Recording Studio Rockstars podcast interview in that list?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just my musical like interactions of like I feel like there's maybe like I've only met like 2 other people that is so diverse. Because when you meet somebody and you say like, "What do you do?" Everybody's answer is everything, but I don't really believe that. Just like because I know, because I'm like, oh, so you play bebop. Like, what's that? Like, okay, you don't do everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, yeah, it's I love it. For me, it just keeps me on my toes. It's because I love music. And
what do you feel like is some of the secret to being able to like switch it around so fast from day to day? Is it just the experience? Is it just keeping an open mind? Is it knowing how to read music so that you can just jump right onto a set?
I feel like to me, like reading music is one of the most important skills you can have, but it's not in the context we're talking about. It doesn't really help you because nobody knows how to write music anymore, so they're not even gonna write you like nothing. So it's like, but I feel like you should just gather all the skills. You should just love it and gather all the skills that you can, and then forget it all. Like that's my if I had to tell anybody just a thing, learn everything and then forget it all. But have it like where it's almost muscle memory to you. So it's like, when people ask me, like I'll do a session with, like a bigger artist and they'll come to the studio and they'll be like, man, like, did your publishers or whoever, your management did you get the playlist that I sent you of the new music? Have you heard it? And I'll tell people straight up to their face, like, no, I actually don't want to hear any of your music personally. Like, it's not that I don't care, but it's like, if I listen to something, just me, we're gonna be stuck instantly. So it's like I'd rather not even listen to it. I don't listen to music like past the year maybe 2010 personally. You know what I mean? I don't like like unless it's like me, like you obviously have to hear some stuff, but it just keeps it, to me. It helps me stay in this fresh kind of space, and I just listen to jazz and I listen to talk radio. So it's like, for me, it helps a lot because it's a lot of times when you like listen to stuff, you get these prejudged before you even work with an artist. You like, oh, I know what they're on, or I know what kind of music they like, and you have no idea. Honestly, you don't know these people. Like, you don't know what they're going through. You might come in with the happiest song in the world, and it's like, man, my grandma just died 2 days ago. You're like, oh, well, dang. What do we do now? You know what I mean? Instead of just like that old school mentality of just like beginning in the room with somebody, talking, drinking, eating, and getting to know a person as much as you can with the time that you have, and then creating music from that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's probably my favorite way to make music in the studio. It's actually one of the reasons why, I mean, I love coming down to the studio by myself and doing stuff, but I also it also feels like a vacuum sometimes. It's like without some other people to like get to know through music in that moment. Sometimes I'm like, what the hell am I doing?
It's not as fun. Yeah, for sure. I've really learned that recently where, music is interesting, like on the business side of it, at least. It's almost like once you step back, when you start doing least or not as much stuff is when your career starts going higher and higher. Just because we all get stuck in the like just doing stuff, you know what I mean? And like just doing stuff doesn't always equate to like good, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you can like really control it, like, you know what, is it better to do 7 sessions a week, or do one that for sure that the song's gonna come, and like the person and the vibe, exactly what's going on. Like, there's really no answer to that, but I have the answer. I think I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you started working with it's Tech Nine?
Yeah, exactly.
Is the group that you started working with
at that jazz club.
Kansas City?
Yeah, I met him at that jazz club because he would come out, hang around when he was in Kansas City, and he's like, man, like, I love the way you play the bass. He's like, you make beats, and I was like, I just lied. I was like, yeah. He's like, send me some. I was like, all right, cool. Like, so I got his, and I was like, dang, I got to learn how to like do this. So like, I went and got Logic on my computer. I ordered this thing at that time. It was called The Machine. It was like this little like
Native Instruments.
Exactly. Yeah. Like the NPC looking thing. And I was like, I didn't really know anything for real. So I was like, dang, let me. I knew everybody pretty much in Kansas City from playing music. Because like that time I was just playing so much, everybody knows me. They're like, like, oh yeah, that's Dom. And I was like, man, let me call this guy. He went by the name of D Will at that time. He was like just I just knew he was a producer. That's kind of what he was known as. So I was like, man, let me just call him, and I'm just annoy him and be like, bro, I'm gonna just pull up on you, and you're gonna show me how to make beats. And he was like,
that's great.
He was like, okay, like, and I was like, dude, matter of fact, if you do that, I'll play. I know you need bass lines on your song. I'll play whatever bass lines you want. Just show me how to do this thing. Like,
that's smart. I think that's sometimes an overlooked way to break into new ground when we're, in the studio, is just saying, you know what, I got something to offer. I can just trade it with people. And
1,000%. I'll tell people.
That's how I learned how to do song chart writing. Was this a great keyboardist here, Jen Gunderman. I was like, and she wanted to learn the studio. I was like, hey, let's get together. You show me how to write charts. I'll teach you how to hook mics up. And we did that for a while. It was really, really great.
That's the best thing you can do. I tell people all the time, like, I always walk into the studio, even now, like with people, it's a whole different situation now, but I'll still have an instrument with me because it sets a certain tone, even if I know I'm not going to use it. Like, it's like, I'll have that instrument with me because when the artist sees you walk in with an instrument, they hold like everything changes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and the instrument also, when you're collaborating with people, like, especially, the vibe, like the bigger producers and the bigger you get, sometimes the ego is there. But like, when you walk in with that instrument, it instantly puts you in a thing where you fit to whatever ego there is. Cause it's like, oh, okay, like wait, so you just down to like, I'm like, yeah, bro, like we're all producing, like, but hey, we're gonna need a fire bass for sure. I know that much. Whether it's like, so it's like you're automatically including yourself in the process that you know is gonna have to happen. You know what I mean? So
tell us more about that, because that's, I'm listening to your playlist and Rockstars. We have Dom's discography. Just scroll down the show notes and you can go click through and listen to a bunch of these awesome sounding records that you've been doing. And it's a great variety of stuff too. It's like what you described about your week, where one day you're doing something that sounds like, and you got to forgive me in advance because I might butcher some of the terminology.
yeah,
But like it might be a hip hop track that kind of sounds like trap music or something with the big 808 and the hi-hats and rapping over it. And then another time it's like a punk rock band, California punk rock band. And another time it's a jazz ensemble and it's like loop based and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's very cool. But then, when I listen to, I'm like, okay, well, how does it, like, I'm trying to picture like, well, what does Dom do? Is he like playing a bass part? Some of these songs that maybe I do hear an actual like string bass, or maybe I don't. And so talk to us a little bit about like, how you like to fit into all these different equations with these different productions.
Yeah, for sure. Like, for me, it's all about the record. So like a lot of records, it might just be me playing every instrument, literally.
Okay, cool. So you taught yourself drums, guitars,
yeah. Yep, drums. Like if you come to the studio, we got everything you could ever imagine. I mean, you might have been. Have you been to the steakhouse in LA?
No, not yet. No, but
okay.
I'll be out in LA for NAMM. So
okay, I'm sure you heard. Yeah, the steakhouse is, it's the vibe. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
So we got everything you could ever imagine. I mean, we get the 62 channel Neve, the EMI Neve downstairs. We got everything. Like Steve Lukather from Toto's got all his guitars. So there's like everything you need is here to make the thing happen, but like I tell people a lot, like, some records, it might just be me. Some records, it might be full collaborative where it's like, yo, we're all bringing our ideals to make this record. You know what I mean? Some records,
you guys sometimes playing as an ensemble?
Yeah. Like we'll produce it in that way. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, like tracking. Do you sometimes you're recording a few instruments at once?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like then that's kind of a dying thing. Like, I know that word got around LA in less than a year, so everybody's pulling up here. It's like, yo, this is the spot where the dude can actually like put together fire musicians and record a song. That's like really rare. Like that word got out and spread through LA fast. Like, awesome. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like that. I don't think people understand how not normal that is today.
Yeah. Hey, Rockstar, come on over here. I've got a secret to tell you. Want to know how I get a consistent sound mixing over 1,000 hours of recording studio rock stars? Well, my secret is using iZotope RX, Ozone, Neutron, and Nectar to make this podcast sound great. Right now, you are hearing RX Breath Control, Declick, Declip, DS, Deplosive, Voice Denoise, Ozone Multiband Compression, Neutron EQ, and Limiting, all from iZotope. Use the secret code ROCK10 to get 10% off over at iZotope.com. Do you feel like that's like, do you have an appreciation for Motown and Muscle Shoals and these different, like these different studio settings where there's like
1,000%
collective of musicians?
1,000%. One of my mentors out here is this guy. His name is Terrace Martin, and like he's one of those 3 or 4 people I was talking about in the world who's like the highest level jazz musician and the highest level producer, like that you can get to. You know what I mean? And we always talk about it, like, because it's just like, it kind of goes back to like getting the right people who are the highest level at what they do, because nowadays it's kind of transformed into, okay, Atlantic sends the artist to come work with Dominique. They expect Dominique to make this track. They expect Dominique to program the drums. They expect Dominique to do the whole thing in in this DAW, as opposed to why would I not? You know what I'm saying? I'm just like going back to somebody like Steve and Toto. It's like Quincy Jones is one of the greatest musicians of ever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Trumpet player, arranger. You know he could play other instruments like that very well. But why? Like he was like, you know what? Instead of me playing the drums, why don't I get J.R. Rock? You know what I mean? Who's like the guy at playing the drum, and then why don't I get Steve, who's the guy at playing guitar? Why don't I get all these high level people and bring everybody together and make something that where it's like, man, do what you do the best, and then we bring it all together and make it the best thing.
Now, do you feel like part of your experience or journey is like there's a certain time in making music where you actually wanted to play everything because it was exciting, and then you get through that, and then you get to that, you arrive at that place of thinking, well, I could do it, but why not bring in all these great players that I know?
For me, honestly, I was never that. Like, because I just have so much fun making music with my friends. Like, that's like really why it's a super rare position, and I'm eternally grateful for it, that the people that I call my friends are the best in the world at what they do.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Like when your friends are like Herbie and people like that, like you should probably be calling them. You know what I mean? Like there's no reason. But you know what I'm saying? Like when Robert Glasper is your friend, you call him to play the piano. You don't do it. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So logistical question. If you're in Los Angeles and you're doing sessions like that, how much of an issue is traffic as far as getting people together into a studio?
It's really not, because it's like, if you like, as long, like the thing about it is when you do certain thing and you make sure that everybody is treated the way that they should be treated and fair, and it's a good vibe and people want to come, man, like it's never a problem to get anybody. It was like I could reach out to people and they'll pull up today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like in traffic, there is like, a lot of traffic and stuff, but it's like, that's just really important. Just like,
gotta have a little bit of planning.
Yeah, well, yeah, you gotta have planning, and you just gotta have integrity in what you do. I just feel like some people lose that integrity sometimes, where they, they want to take more, or they want to like make it all about themselves or whatever. And it's like, bro, it's music. It's there's no greater community thing than music. You know what I'm saying?
Being too self-centered is a recipe for having people not show up for sessions.
It's a recipe to people not. I'm not even gonna pick up the phone. I don't want to talk to you. Honestly, like you forget the set. Like the session for sure is not gonna happen. But like I don't even want to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the session is the last thing that's gonna happen. Like we don't even want to like communicate at all. You know what I'm saying? And it's just crazy to me, because it's like, bro, like at the end of this, music is like, this is the least. There's nothing about music that is a self-contained thing.
Yeah.
Like whether from the mixing to the mastering, like, cool, you could record a song and it doesn't even sound close to the same as it did after somebody mixed it. So like they're a part of the process too. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, I just feel like that's like a really important thing. Just make sure that everybody is like treated, whether it's the cleaner lady that made the studio be clean so that you can get in a good headspace to write the music, or whatever. Like everybody played a role in like making this thing. You know?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, one of the things I've been having fun doing here is getting people together for recording sessions. We'll do like a power weekend, and then we get to the end, and even the interns were just like, all right, we're just doing whatever song we did. I mean, who knows if it's going to do anything at all, but everybody's a writer. Everybody's a equal split.
Yeah.
9-way split on that song we just did.
So
that just makes it easier.
Making music is not hard. I'll talk about this a lot. I'm like, it's really crazy when you think about it. Like, so like, this will get into some whole other thing or whatever. This might be all time, but it's like, the universe, or wherever you want to call it. I don't know. However, what is it? Like, I don't even remember. It was like, what, like 7 billion years or something like that. That's off the top of my head.
The age of the universe?
Yeah. Like, so I'm just, let's rock with that. 7 billion like years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Earth has been around for 4 billion or something like years. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, So if that's what the case is, like I'll just take the song like My Girl that everybody in the world knows. Everybody knows that song. So like, yes, I'm sure they did multiple takes of that song, but the take that we all know when we say My Girl, that only happened for 2 minutes and like 50 seconds in the entire course of history.
Yep.
It was that moment that would live forever.
And when you play it, you're just repeating that moment.
Repeating that moment. That they probably did it again. There was other takes that wasn't that moment. You know what I'm saying? But like that 2 minutes and 50 seconds out of the however many trillion, billion, whatever seconds that has existed, that 2 minutes and 50 seconds became the moment. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I just think when people really think about music a little bit more, having that type of gravity, like it changes the way that you think about music and approach it. It's serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I really think that's important. And not only that, but along with that was the realization for me at some point that like, you know, some famous song, famous artist, the version that we know, learning that, oh shit, if they went to go play that again, they couldn't even do it exactly the same way that it was on the recording.
Exactly. Not possible. Yep. Yeah. It's just interesting. And like, you know, it's just fun making music. Long story short, it's just fun making music with your friends. You know, every situation obviously is not conducive to that. Like, you know what I'm saying? But you know when it is, and you know, like when it's time to like turn it up and make like this impactful music that's gonna be, you know, thousands of years or whatever, then, you know, it might be a good time to reach out and try to put all the other stuff aside and just worry about making the music be great, you know?
So we couldn't get, Rockstar, sorry, we couldn't get Neil deGrasse Tyson to join us on the podcast today, but I was able to ask ChatGPT while you were telling us that. And so you want to know how old the universe is, Dom?
Yeah.
And do you like going by Dom or Dom?
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, Dom.
All right, cool. All right, so the artificial intelligences tell us that the current estimate for the age of the universe is approximately 13.8 billion years. This age is based on observations of the cosmic microwave background radiation and the expansion of the universe, among other factors. This estimate is supported by a variety of scientific evidence and is widely accepted in the field of cosmology.
Crazy.
There you have it.
So, I mean, from all that cosmic dust 13 billion years ago or whatever, like, like you got to think about it, like one person wasn't in that session. That is not the same. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just kind of crazy. Like, that's just the power of music to me. It's like,
well, that expression, you can never stand in the same river twice.
Yeah, exactly. That's very true.
Because it's always moving moment to moment.
Like, yeah. I mean, 100%, you know.
All right. So, so you do these sessions, you've got, you're calling in musicians on some of them. Sometimes you're doing the stuff yourself.
Yeah.
And are you still using Logic all the time, or do you did you move from that into Pro Tools world?
Yeah. So, I mean, currently I'm in Ableton. I've been in Ableton for a few years.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I had to teach myself how to use Pro Tools for sure. So like Ableton and Pro Tools is kind of my two.
No, it's cool. We talk about Pro Tools all the time. So love hearing about Ableton too.
Yeah.
You know, Ableton is one of those ones, Ableton Live, that is, you know, when it arrived, I've been doing this for long enough to remember when everything made its first appearance, you know?
Yeah.
Including Reason way back when. You're like, what do you mean you can flip it around and see the cables bouncing around on the screen? That's incredible.
Reason, I had 3 initial DAWs, I guess you want to, before even like Logic, that I just never used for it. But like Acid Pro was one. I had the CD to that, and then Reason
that became Fruity Loops, didn't it?
I don't know, honestly, but that could make sense, kind of. Like Cakewalk was on the computer that I had. I just didn't know how to use it. And then like with Reason, I had Reason installed on the same computer. I started using Logic, but there's too many like wire. It was like just looked too confusing, so I just went with Logic.
Well, I mean, Reason's a funny one. Like, I felt like a lot of the music that was coming out of Reason. Often when I heard it, I'm like, it kind of sounds like German techno or something. And I kind of picture, I also have this image of like, your Eastern European music producers like really enjoying putting plugging the wires in and patching all the cables and stuff. Probably a silly image in my head, but and then Ableton. Thing that blew me away about Ableton Live when it first arrived was this, like, it was the first time you could do things like drag a plug-in on and it didn't stop the music, or you could like,
right.
You could be immediately doing something. You're like, that thing I did was awesome. And then you hit a button and it had already captured all the moves you did.
Yes. Yeah. It's still kind of the same way. That's why, I appreciate Ableton, is just because my brain, when like for me, like anybody knows me or done the session, we'll be talking for 3 hours and then make music for probably like 20 minutes. And then that'd be it. It's because it's just that intense when it's happening. It's like, like my brain is like, because I feel like you can't, like, I don't even want to make, personally, I don't want to make music with people that I don't want to just like have somebody pull up and then let's just make music. Cause like, that's weird to me. If I'm not even gonna have a conversation, I would rather just not do it personally.
Right. Well, music, it's a language, right? So it's like 100%. If you don't have verbal language with that, you might not know what you're talking about musically.
Definitely. Yeah. So like Ableton allows me to do like weird stuff that my brain is thinking of without it being hard to do. So like that's kind of what drew me to it. It's like, I can pitch this thing down and then slow it and speed it back up and then reverse it. And all I got to do is just like down 7 semitones and then, that's F sharp minor. Okay. Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking about. And then it's, you know what I mean? It's just fast and it works. So
are you mostly working in like kind of a clips view or in a track lanes view?
I do it in the arrangement, like the traditional, Pro Tools looking way, like arrangement. Way. Yeah. I haven't used the clip thing in a minute, but yeah, mainly just arrangement for me.
And would you, how often are you seeing something through the mix, and would you just stay right in Ableton through the mix, or is that more of a place to create and then it moves somewhere else?
No, definitely. Like, I mean, like from, I also like mix for, I call it mix for bounce. So like, like we do the song, like everybody's hype on the song. It's like, I'll mix it good enough to where we can listen to it and everybody's hype. So like we can like later, get it to the engine. Like there's a guy here that uses like Kevin McCombs, great mix engineer, Rick Carson, in Omaha. He owns like Make Believe Studios out there, another great engineer. So like between one of them two dudes, they'll get it. They'll sit and do the mixing part of it.
Have you been out to Make Believe Studios and done sessions out there yet?
Yeah, I was like day one when it opened. Like Rick is a great friend of mine. That's about 2 hours from Kansas City. So,
oh right, yeah. So Rick and I connected because we're in the process of working on creating a plug-in.
Awesome, yeah.
And I met him through that world, and he's awesome.
I mean,
fascinating dude.
Yeah, if you're a studio nerd head person, like, I mean, like, yeah, Rick, he helped me a lot. He actually showed me, because I'm like the music, and that's why we kind of like connected, because he's like, bro, the music you make is so incredible. Like, for you not to like know like anything almost on like the technical side is like, it was like almost like, I don't know how you're doing it. And Rick showed me signal flow. Rick showed me how to, like, this is what cutoff and attack does on the Moog. Because for me, I would just like get on there, turn it, whatever sound it was, we're gonna figure out how to make music out of it. Like, you know what I mean? He was like, yo, this is crazy. I've never seen that like this. So, he showed me a lot, So yeah, shout out to Rick.
So when you're doing your bounce mix for bounce or whatever you said, like is the next place that you guys check out what you did almost always in the car, or is that not part of your experience out there?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it'll be like, like it's just like, hey, like this song is fire. Like, while we love this, we want to put this out. Like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like for me, like, all of that stuff is I'm like, yeah, let's get the lawyers on the phone and make it real, you know? So it's like, but in the meantime, it's like, you know, I'll get a mix for about, make sure everything is, the vocals sound cool enough, throw God Particle on the master, and, you know, call it a wrap. Like, and so like, you know, from there, everybody goes to the car, you know, and listens to it. And then once that paperwork and all that stuff starts flowing into the next step, then you send the stems to, you know, whoever the mixing engineer is.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that could be dry, or sometimes it's like, yo, this is actually cool enough. Can you just send us the wet with like no the everything you have, just no reverb, or, you know what I mean? It just varies depending.
Yeah.
You know.
What do songwriters, music producers, DJs, EDM, TV, and film composers all have in common with you and me? We all need incredibly cool sounds that instantly transport the music we are creating to the style that we want. This is why Native Instruments is your ultimate toolkit with a massive library of sounds for your studio. Whether you want to create hip-hop, indie pop, classic rock, meditation music, pumping dance floor beats, or full orchestral arrangements, Native Instruments' Complete Bundle offers you everything you need, from drums, loops, and beats to wild synths, ultra-realistic strings, and vintage electric bass, guitars, and keys. The list goes on and on. I personally love recording real bands in my studio and then adding cool drum samples, synths, and futuristic keys from Battery, Contact, Massive X, Guitar Rig, and Hybrid keys, for example. Plus, it's a great way to make your production sound modern and unique. Use the code ROCK10 to get 10% off, or get Complete Start for free today with a bundle of 2,000 sounds and 6 gigs of samples over at nativeinstruments.com. The S-Series by Adam Audio, crafted in Berlin, is a flagship line of reference monitors, blending advanced engineering and in-house design. With 5 models in various sizes and configurations, these monitors build on Adam Audio's iconic heritage while incorporating new technology for improved acoustic performance. The range includes the compact S2V with a 7-inch woofer, the 3-way S3H with twin 7-inch woofers, the vertical S3V with a single 9-inch woofer, and the powerful S5H and S5V main monitors featuring a 12-inch woofer and exceeding 131 dBSPL per pair. Despite differences in size and power, all these models provide highly analytical sound for professional audio applications. The S-Series includes new woofers, mid-range drivers, redesigned waveguides, and a DSP engine for crossover optimization. The result is accurate frequency response, consistent dispersion, enhanced detail in bass and mid-frequencies with wider frequency ranges, and forward-looking digital connectivity, all in a durable design. The S-Series ensures longevity in your studio, backed with a 5-year guarantee at adamaudio.com. Hey, Rockstars, we're back now for the jam session, aka the second half of the show. My guest today is Dominique Sanders, aka Dom, joining us on the podcast. You ready to jam, dude?
Yeah, let's jam.
All right. Thanks for hanging in with me with my over-the-top podcast personality. This is really fun to hear you talk about this stuff, man. I love just talking about all this stuff we're talking about, whether it's like the history of jazz, or, you know, how you got into this, or just like the essence of music, or how old the universe is. And I've probably got some specific questions. I think another thing that was on your list was working with Prescription Songs as a publishing company. That you work with. Is that right? Talk to us a little bit about that. Like, what does that mean? You know, if you were describing the life of a producer, musician like yourself to somebody saying, what do you do? You know, what does all that mean? And is that an important thing that people should be in search of, you know, connecting with, you know, you said, send it to the lawyers or a production company, you know, and these people that do the administrative side of music.
Yeah. I mean, you know, a good friend, like a good friend of mine's name is Trevor Lawrence Jr. I don't know if you know him or not. He he's one of the most recorded drummers currently. You know what I mean? Like new guy. His dad was Trevor Lawrence Sr. But anyway, like he said something that always stick with me. He's like, man, it's not real till like the lawyers are involved as far as like money transactions. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that always stuck with me. Like he was with Dr. Dre for years. That mentality is like a real thing. I'm just like, you know, because everybody be like, man, I want to we gotta, you know, other than like your friends where it's like, bro, let's just link up and make some, you know what I mean? Like people that really want to like work, like, bro, I want to work, I want to get in. It's like, hey, we can make it real. Like if it's like, that's the only way it's gonna be real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, with Prescription is amazing. Like it's hard to even explain it. Like, cause they're such a boutique music publisher. That I mean, just the records are just like the highest level records. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, and it's actually interesting because they're one of the few music publishing companies where I don't remember whatever you want to call it, like the CEO or whatever, like is still actively making music at a high level, which is Dr. Luke. So it's like
Dr. Luke?
Dr. Luke.
Oh, Dr. Luke. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So that's his company. You know what I mean?
Right on.
So it's just like kind of interesting, like thing. But like, yeah, Prescription is amazing, man. Like everybody that works there, kind of like a home type of environment. And really what they do is just like, you know, their job is to like gather as much music publishing as possible. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, and the way they do that is through different producers and artists or whatever. And, you know, through them putting out records, they are able to gather what they gather. And it's just a really good, like for what I do, it's a really good working relationship with them because, you know, they'll go super hard on trying to get sessions. And then for me, I have my own thing that I set up most of the time anyway. So I don't really need a ton of assistance with stuff. So it's just a really good working relationship that, you know, once you get in with the publishing game and do all that, you're I don't know what you want to call it, but you're really in your big boy pants of the music. Mm-hmm. Like you're all the way in at that point. You know what I mean?
So working with a publishing company is part of it is the songs are already done and they're doing the follow up on making sure that the life of the song in a business sense succeeds. But also before the song is created, they're helping bring opportunities to you.
For sure, because you got, you know, you got to think of this a partnership. It's like, you know, it's like I can only do what they can really only do what I can do. That's what, you know what I'm saying? As far as like if I don't get up and go make the song, then like they're not going to make any, you know what I mean? Anybody like at all from me, at least, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, hey man, so now there goes like, man, like I want you to make the biggest song in the world. Like, because that's how the business works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know,
so they're going to look for great opportunities to put you in the studio with some
100%. Because like, you know, especially when they believe in you and your track record goes like, okay, you're getting the records. It's like the more records you do, the more money that we all make. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how that works. And like I said, like once you get with the publishers, you're wearing the big boy pants in the music business. And you know, it's funny. I always hear people have horror stories about publishing and contracts, and you know, I tell people all the time, like, dude, like if that's how you feel, I don't. This is my personal belief. I don't believe there's a bad contract. There's no such thing as that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? Because like, unless you were working with Death Row or something and somebody had a gun to your head and said, sign this, you signed it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, so it wasn't bad when you signed it. You just didn't know what you were doing.
I felt like I've emotionally had a gun to my head sometimes in life, but not
that's
literally.
That's the only thing I can think of. Cause like, you know, Death Row is a different energy. Like, you know, there's literally You know what I mean? If you don't do this, I'll kill you type of thing. You know what I mean? But
Wow.
that's kind of not the normal situation. So it's just kind of like, hey man, look, like, you know, in this business, like I think people have to really realize that this music is a business. So it's like, you know, everything's a business. I tell people if you go to Burger King and order a hamburger, you're taking a loss. You know what I mean? It's just, but you're gaining food that you wanted. So it's kind of like, what's the margin? What's the margin that works, and how do you best use that margin to benefit where you're trying to go and what you need to do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Get back into the studio.
I'm not saying that taking the pub is a lot, but you know what I'm saying? It's just, it's a
well, I mean, already you described a scenario where you're not in the studio, you're out for lunch, so you've already screwed up.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Exactly. It's just like, you know, I tell people, like, I just, especially when you talk about that topic of publishing and signing deals, is the first thing you normally hear are these horror, you know, these sad sob stories,
right.
Just how it didn't work out. And I'm like, dude, like, I feel like most of those stories is a lot more on the person in how they approach that situation.
Yeah.
Anybody else.
And then on the other end, you hear these, like, you know, mega lottery stories with songs. And sometimes I think those aren't fair either. It's like,
yeah,
because most people I know, the reality is somewhere in the middle of all that, you know?
Yeah, you'd be surprised, man. Like, you know, I talk to people in the publishing game, and people love me. Like, I tell a lot of my A&Rs and even, you know, Kelly and everybody, like, you know, my goal is, like, with my management team and everybody, I'm like, you guys don't have to do anything. Just sit back and I'll call you. And when I call you, you'll look good. That's it. You know what I mean? So it's like, you don't have to kill yourself to figure out nothing for me. Like, sit back, chill. I'll call you. When I call, everybody will look good. You know what I mean? Like, because it's gonna be something like, dang, that's cool. Like, hey, we need to handle this. It's already done. Boom, boom, boom. Next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep. So
what about the other side of doing sessions and working with all this stuff? Where are the places when you're making records? Maybe you've learned how to manage it, but, like, in your experience, what are the things that have really stressed you out? Where are things where you're like, you feel nervous as hell about making records?
I'm not gonna lie, like, I really never feel that. Not with music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just don't. And you know, like, I've tried to set myself up in my business where, when I do something that is successful and the money is coming, like, really well, I try to make smart investments in real estate. Like, I'm from Kansas City, so, like, you can get houses there for extremely cheap. Mm-hmm. And, like, you know, I always try to do something successful where I don't have to feel like the music is, like, going, my end all BR is gonna kill me, or, like, the pressure and all this stuff. I really don't. I'm, like, really not even lying. I'm just trying to think. Like, I've just never felt like,
you keep the music fun.
Yeah, I mean, because it doesn't matter who it could be, whoever, like, you know. And I think one thing, I'm not gonna lie, is, like, playing the bass and, like, already kind of being around that, because when you're somebody's musician, it's a different relationship than even being their producer, because, like, you're around them even more on the road and, like, more intimate settings than even being somebody's music producer. So, like, you know, I've been doing that for years. So, like, everybody's a person to me. So it's like, you know, I just never feel like, oh, dude, if we don't get this record, my life's over or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's serious, like, what we do. What is this is not that deep ever. You know what I mean?
Do you think that part of it for you is that you never put all your eggs in one basket? Like, you've got so many different kinds of music going on and opportunities.
So. Honestly, yes, yes. I would say with the music, with the finances, like, it's never like my life never riding on one song to live or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, we're getting those songs and we're continually trying to get those songs, but, like, it's not, for whatever, like, if let's say it doesn't pan out exactly how it's cool, because it's like, we're making songs, bro. This is not. It's really not hard to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like it overall, it's really not that hard to like do what we do. Honestly, like if we're being honest, you know what I mean?
Just do it.
Yeah, because
just
like,
do what you're good at.
I mean, I tell people it's like, dude, like you have to love this to the point. Like I know I can guarantee you if I worked at Home Depot for 80 hours a week or whatever, I would still come home and do the exact same thing that I'm getting paid to do now.
Yeah.
For free. Like, you know what I mean? Like I guarantee you I would.
Yeah, that's always been my take on music. And somewhat my take on podcasting, because I always, even long before I ever started a podcast, I was already recording people's stories and going around, doing field recordings of people. I just love the adventure and I love learning about people and places and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
so it's like, and the audio part of things is always fascinating to me. I mean, I'm like, when I'm taking a break, I'm watching a video on the latest plugin because why the hell not,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I really just, I approach it that way, man. It's like, sometimes we can get too wrapped up in the thing. And it's just like, dude, like I would be doing this wherever, if I worked at whatever job and I was like dead tired and I came home at night and I had 10 hours before I had to clock back in, at least for an hour or 2 hours, I'm going to open up Ableton and just make music because for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the fact that now I have all the time in the world and people are paying me to do it, that should be like, you know what I mean? That's just like, that should be a no-brainer. You know what I mean? It's like, so
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, all right, Tom, I'm going to put you on the spot. For the rock stars who are either thinking about Ableton or already using it, can you give us what are 5 cool tips about Ableton that just like pop into your head right now?
So number 1 with Ableton is just how quickly you can freeformly change the tempo and how accurate the information remains at any, like you could go from 160 BPM to 30 BPM. I've done it. And like, it's still
done it. And you could have a change in real time in the middle of the song, right?
100%. Yeah.
Slow down.
That's number 1. Like I love Pro Tools. Honestly, I think Pro Tools is not as bad as everybody says it is, but like you just have to think about when you're working, you want everything to be, you don't want to stop the process. So it's like in Pro Tools, if you can do it, but you can't do it without stopping the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't,
right.
You're not going to be able to, and you're not going to be able to make that drastic of a change. And it's just going to sound horrible. So like, you know what I mean? You can maybe go a couple of BPM, but you're not going to be able to just do it without stopping the session and doing it. So,
and you got to like convert everything into,
it's a whole process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, that's number 1. Number 2 is like just the sheer amount of CPU that Ableton uses is incredible. Like it's almost like zero. It's like, I think it's just because it's such a simple layout. There's no GPU. There's no pictures. There's no like none of that stuff. It's just like a raw thing. Like like how much you can do inside of it before the computer starts getting weird is really amazing, honestly. For what you can do. Number 3 is just like, honestly, the community of Ableton is special. I've actually been working with them for about 4 years. So, just the community that they actually will like hire you on, like, they're like a real music community. There's a thing called Max for Live where you can make your own plugins for Ableton, and people do it and they share all these plugins that are like incredible, honestly. Like these,
the Max for Live thing's fascinating. I mean, you could do I don't know it well, but it seemed like you could kind of make up whatever you wanted to do. You could build
literally anything.
Build a suit that you wear on the stage and it controls all the sounds.
Yeah, like you can think about it, you can do it type of thing, which is, incredible. And I don't know how many points that is, but
that was 3.
3. Okay, that was 3. What else? I mean, like, to me, like also, so, if you're, I don't know what people normally are using their DAWs for. But I would say like just purely to create music,
Mhm.
I would say Ableton is the best. Like just because it allows you to flow in this stream of consciousness, like where you like to me that was one of the most important things. Is like if I can feel like I'm not on a computer while I'm making the music, it's amazing for me. Even if I'm sitting there clicking on a computer, if it doesn't feel like I'm on a computer, just for how I make music is like golden for me.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't have that feeling like because you can just do stuff in a full stream of consciousness. And then number 3 is really just the push. The push is an amazing instrument that works with.
So you use that a lot, and you use it. Like obviously you can have the push. Rockstars is the grid of buttons. Like in each one will play a different clip or a sample up on the screen.
Yeah, you have 64 pads. The new push is incredible. It has I forget the exact word, but you can kind of do the vibrato on each pad, basically.
Oh, just wiggling your finger like one of those.
Exactly, left and right.
What's the rubber keyboard that everybody had too?
Rolly thing.
Yeah, Rolly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. You can kind of slide it. So it's like a full 4D immersive thing. Also, the new one is a standalone unit, so you can just take that and it is Ableton inside of it.
Kind of like Machine.
Yeah, it's just even a little bit more crazy. Like the only thing that I feel like is to me that I actually use and I feel like is close in a standalone way is the new MPC Live too. I use that a lot.
Okay.
That's a great.
And you're sitting in your studio right now, right?
I am. Yeah, I'm sitting here right now.
Can you just like do a little, like one, 90-degree sweep in front of you and just start to describe some of the tools that are all sitting in front of you that you would use on a daily basis?
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, the computer, number one. Like
you said that's a Mac Mini is what you're working with now?
Yeah, the Mac Pro.
Mac Pro. Is that the one with the big, huge, holes? Yeah. Like that's kind of the pricey one, right?
Yeah, that one. I mean, you can't do nothing without the computer nowadays. So you got to need that to be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I actually have a pair of Rick Carson's NS10s set up right now.
Just his personal ones on loan, like kind of thing, or is he actually making those?
I think he just kind of like modded it out. It's like they're black. The cones are black instead of white. And nice. Like the little bit, they can handle a little bit more low frequency.
I know, Rick. That matches his outfit.
Exactly. Right. And then 2 JBL 15-inch subs with the big JBLs for the mains. And I'm rotating which way I'm rotating left. And I have the credenza, or what do they call it? That's what I call
like the producer desk behind you kind of thing? Or?
No, like where you can rack stuff. Like rack.
Oh yeah, just a rack. Yeah.
Yeah, a floating rack table or whatever. So yeah, the Apollo, 2 Apollo 8, whatever you want, those, the quads in there. In the rack now, actually, which is funny because I've been using this for this record, the Core Triton. That's been getting used a lot in that.
What's
rack.
That?
The Core Triton rack.
Oh, like that's the synth rack version of it or something?
The rack version of that, yep. And then the rack version of the MS-2000, the rack version of the JV 1080. We got the rack version of the Emu Planet Fat.
Right. So you got a lot of racked synthesizers because using synths and keyboards is such an important part of your production.
Yeah, I actually use a lot of that stuff, honestly. And then sitting on top of the thing is my tape machine with the TIAC A2340.
All right, cool. So is that one of the reel-to-reels, like a vertical standing thing? And then how many tracks does that do?
You can do 4, but I really only use it for 2. So what I do is like I'll make the music and I have it set up going through the through channel 7 and 8 in one of the Apollos where I can actually record from Ableton into that in true time, where there's like not even a delay, and it'll record onto the tape, and then basically it's recording onto the tape and then shooting it back into Ableton through the tape. So
yep, off the repro head.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun trick. I used to, when I had my tape machines in here, we do a lot of sessions like that. And It really is cool to get that tape sound.
I use it almost every day, pretty honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so rotating, there's like 2 huge windows. I'm in the upstairs part of the steakhouse right now. This is my like personal studio at the steakhouse. So yeah, up rotating left, there's I actually just got this name, the Poly D. Been loving that. The Behringer Poly D. Looks like the mini move.
Right.
Really, really
right.
cool.
That's what I've got the yeah. Or I don't know if I have the Poly D. I've got the Mod D or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, and I've been loving it. Honestly.
Modular rack.
It's like a mini move that you can play 5 voices on. So
yeah. That's why you got the Poly one. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then underneath that, got the JV50. Actually use that keyboard mainly for like the percussion sounds in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then rotating left a little bit further, I got a drum set. It's an all out kind of in the same room, so I can just kind of slide over and get to that.
Now, how do you what do you find is a useful way to run your DAW when you're going around to different instruments, when you're not sitting in the chair and you want to do something?
I'll just take the keyboard. I mean, I got a wireless keyboard, so I'll just...
Oh, you can just carry it over there with you. You can still see the big screen across the room.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got a big, huge, like 80-inch TV like above the...
80 inches. Nice, man.
Huge, yeah.
I thought mine was big. It's like 55.
Yeah. So I got that so you can see whatever. And then, there's like a chair. And then like against the back wall, I have a piano there, an old Brentwood.
Cool.
I have everything just taken off. It sounds really good recording, just taking off the lid and taking off the bottom lid as well.
So you can just so you describe your studio as like a writer's room where you can go get on any instrument or go back over to the speakers
super fast.
Yeah,
like it's everything's running and ready to go. And then like I have like this kind of grass area, or whatever you want to call it, where it's like
kind of putting, so you can practice your putting greens.
Like it looks like that, but there's like a bean bag on it. Like people can lay down on it and feel like you're kind of like at a park. People love that. They love it.
It's real grass?
No, it's turf.
Okay, all right, I take it.
Yeah,
that's cool.
But people love that a lot. Like that's the first thing I want to do is just lay on that. But and then going over, got the guitars. Got like 8 guitars up here now.
Nice. I am massively impressed with iZotope Ozone. I've been mastering a lot of my records recently, and Ozone makes it so easy for me to get a fantastic sound. The mastering assistant will help you get started by measuring your track and suggesting all the settings you need for a professional result based on the genre and EQ curve of your choice. You can even reference a specific song if you want, using simple yet sophisticated modules like clarity, impact, low-end focus, stabilizer, imager, exciter, and spectral shaping, along with powerful dynamic EQ, compression, and limiting. You simply adjust the settings to your own taste, and it sounds incredible. And the magic of master rebalance means you can reach into your mix at the mastering stage and manipulate the vocal, bass, and drums. My bandmates are pretty demanding of my mixes, but now when I send off the masters for approval and get comments back like, holy bleep, pristine, damn good mastering, crystal clear, you're a wizard, finally I love my singing, and the drums and bass sound huge, well then I know I'm doing something right. So check out the newest Ozone, RX, and all the other great apps at iZotope.com and use the code ROCK10 to get 10% off. You said those are Steve Lukather's guitars or something like that?
These are my good. Nah, these not these was like, yeah, these are like my like two others. They got the Fender acoustic, nylon, a Seagull acoustic, Fender.
Now, what do you find the acoustics really useful for you guys in there? Is it more working out the songs and the ideas, or does the acoustic get recorded a lot?
Both. Yeah, we definitely record it for sure. Yeah.
Well, let's can we talk about some of the ways you like to record stuff?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. All
right, so let's go back to your first instrument, bass, electric bass.
Yeah.
what would be the way that you would, if you're like, let's put some bass on this right now,
Mhm.
what would you reach for, and how would you patch it in?
Like lately, for the type of music I've been doing lately, I would grab this. I have the this Jack Cassidy bass, the hollow body. So I'll probably grab that and see what that sounds like first, and then honestly, like for me, I'm just going straight. I'm gonna plug it straight into the Apollo.
Really
Yeah,
nice.
100%. Yeah, not even going to the Neves or none of that. I'm just going straight to the Apollo. And then on the inside of the Apollo, I'm gonna open up the Ampeg, the amp thing that comes with it. And then depending on what we're doing, there's a UAD has a their version of the Rev A, the of like basically like the blue stripe.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like I'll put that on there. And then the rest is really honestly with bass, the tone is mainly from your fingers. So like 90% of the sound, that carving and all that, is like going to come from playing it the correct way. That's honestly
Yeah.
like honestly, there's like 80 history. Like if you have a master player, you really don't got to do anything. Like you just kind of EQ it or something.
Yeah, but bass is such a critical one though, because
Yeah.
the first place, I mean, it's not always the first place, but one of the places that everybody would agree is a challenge in making a great sounding record is the low end. And, the bass is such a key player for that, whether it's a rock record or songwriter or a hip hop or whatever.
Yes.
And once I got my speakers dialed in here, I got them worked with a designer. And for the first time ever, I've got like a really great sounding room for listening. But even before I did, I found that like, really intentionally playing the bass in the control room, it like gives you a massive amount of control on the way the song's going to sound.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, having a good, it's all of the, like the one thing I think just from like now, like your ear, I feel like everybody's ear every couple of months, you hear and you understand things and it just kind of clicks for, you know what I'm saying? Like now you can understand and one thing that clicked for me in the last maybe 2 years, like a little bit longer than that, like before COVID, like is like just really, instead of like trying to do all this like extra stuff, just recording stuff the correct way first.
Yeah.
It will change. It just changes so much. Like it's just like, okay, like the bass, I got that down. Like I know how to almost get a tone out of it just from, well, this is like, okay, if we're doing the piano, like record it, like really spend some time on like, okay, if we move the mic 7 inches closer, it's a completely different sound that we might have to try to EQ or like raise up instead of just like focusing for like 10 or 15 more extra minutes on trying to make it sound good without anything on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, so let me go back to bass for just one sec, and I want to talk about piano too. But with bass, you can plug in and you're hearing the bass come out of the speakers, and you can make a judgment call right there. What about, and you also work on a real variety of music. So like, do you find that it's some situations playing the bass, it's easier to get the right call, and some situations you might not know till like more guitars are layered on and that kind of thing?
Yeah, like definitely. Like if I'm doing a rock record, I already know the chain of events, how it's going. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, like if we're because nowadays people feel more comfortable. Like there's a lot of gear up here, honestly. Like there's a lot of stuff up here, but like it's still not as much as like the downstairs, like the our like our A rooms. So it's like you don't have that pressure of feeling like, you know what I mean? So like when we're doing a rock record, I'll do, I don't even record the drums or nothing like upstairs, just get the main riff and all of that down, because I know like for a fact that the minimum we're gonna have to go downstairs to the A room, reamp whatever through the Kemper or something. Like we're gonna have to reamp everything to get it to the sonics that it needs to be at.
Right. So upstairs, you're just trying to get the idea dialed in.
We're getting for a rock record for sure. We're just getting the ideals kind of dialed in and whatever. And then once we go, we'll put the drums downstairs and like really like have those sound in the way, running through everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think all music has to be demo and then master recording, demo first, master recording second. But
yeah.
I also think it's really important to know which parts of making a record can be that way and should be that way, and like free you up in the moment. Like, okay, we can just get the idea, knowing that we can redo this part and make it sound more right later.
People are totally down with it because they know the vibe. They come to this studio and they see it's like, dang, like, wait, there's like another part of this. Like, this is already crazy because we can do it up here if we had to. You know what I mean? But like when we go downstairs and they see everything, they're like, oh, okay, wow. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, like, because I'm just a big advocate on that. And like I said, it goes back to the point, Dominique, you'll never hear Dominique Sanders programmed drums on a rock record that I'm doing. Like, I'm not even going to waste my time trying to do it. There's no point, because why would I do that when I can just call so-and-so and just record it and it's going to be the vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there's no point of us even doing it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's stop. I tell you, let's stop here. We got the idea. The record is fire. Let's schedule a time, a day. We'll go downstairs and we'll finish the record, and we'll do another one after that.
I like it. So Dom, you said a couple of things. One is, you might be cutting bass and getting the tone right. And that could be happening up in your space. And you also said you were using a pair of NS10s from Rick. Talk to us a little bit about monitoring, and like, do you mess with a sub in the studio? Do you find it's useful to just not use a sub?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that? And how do you
have to, for what I'm doing, like the sub? Yeah, but I have a control, the what's this thing called? The PreSonus monitor station.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, the big.
So you can turn the sub on and
exactly,
off.
Yeah, I can turn it off. I can turn the amount, so I can switch between the NS10s and the mains. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For me, I'm just like I just have to, like, so much music now that is like, it's almost impossible. Like you would be very hard to like even mix a modern record without some type of sub reference.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, especially like the hip hop stuff where 808 is a key player.
Yeah, like I don't care like how good your NS10s or whatever. Like, it's just like, it's gonna be tricky. You know what I mean? So like some type of sub reference to, like, you have to have it. And like, honestly, like for me as a producer, I'm not doing too much mixing and stuff, like intense mixing. So like all I'm doing is creating a vibe. So like the vibe is hearing the music loud. That's the vibe. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's my main job, is to create a vibe.
What are the main speakers that you use?
For like this room, I'll say this room where I'm so there's actually like, so there's like a main room, and then I have up in the back there's another mixing room, and then there's like 3 rooms in this studio. The main room that I have, kind of like where people we actually kind of are mainly, I'm gonna guess like it's probably like 50 feet by like.
That's the control room?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big space. So so the low end really speaks in that room.
Yeah, it's big. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, like, so wait, what was the question? Was the sub like
just like your monitors? Like, you talked about NS10s and switching on your PreSonus.
The mains that I have here are just the big JBLs, like the 210.
Okay, cool.
What is it? JBL Professional. Like how you would, like the monitors you would use at like a wedding, like a super big wedding or something.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yep, and then two subs.
Don't get married to that bass part, man. You might have to change it tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it definitely gets loud enough for sure. Yeah, and that's really like, I don't even use the mains. Like, that's just for like, once we get done, the drinks might be flowing. It's like, man, listen, I want to hear it, like, turn it up. You know what because that's the first thing everybody, you start turning your NS10s up. This is like, what I mean?
One of my friends, Roger Mutino, talked about working in New York. He was working with Run DMC for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And he said he finally had to quit because he said for 6 months, the volume knob was just maxed out on the SSL.
Yeah.
I mean, he just couldn't take it anymore.
Imagine doing that in today's music climate with the 808.
Yeah.
Like, bro, like, you know what I mean? The loudest studio I've ever been to in my life is Dr. Dre's studio. It is always at the highest level, like, of volume. You know what I'm saying?
Really? God.
And I get it. Like, it's crazy a little bit, but I get it though at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's like, at the end of the day, we're creating vibes. So it's like, you know, like I said, if we've been talking for a couple hours and now we just made a record that's a smash, you know, I'm hype on it. The artist is hype on it. Like, yo, this is crazy, man. Like, I want to hear that. I want to hear it loud. Like, man, turn that shit up. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
you're making stuff that needs to be impressive on the very best playback.
We all know that this is not the final mix. We just want to hear it. We want to feel it. So it's like, I'm like, you don't even have to get nothing. I don't have Asperger. Like, Asperger's that'd be ridiculous. Like, the speakers that I have up here now, and mind you, at the studio that we're at, it was created to be a studio. There's 16 feet of solid concrete between the room I'm in the control room, in the live room downstairs. And every once in a while, like Sam downstairs, he might be like, hey man, could you like cut this up for like 20 seconds? I just got to record this. You know what I mean? So that's not even with Asperger. So it's loud. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whenever we turn the mains up all the way in the subs and all that, is more than loud enough for people to be excited. You know what I'm saying?
Right on. Do you ever feel like the time that you've spent watching YouTube videos, trying out mix tricks, and tweaking version after version of your mixes has gotten you nowhere? Have you been looking for a simple, straightforward, step-by-step process for creating a pro mix that won't take you years to learn? What if you could have a Grammy-winning mix engineer who understood all your mixing struggles and could coach you through them? If you struggle with any of these questions, then the Ultimate Mixing Masterclass is just for you. Now you can discover the proven step-by-step mix system from Grammy-winning mixer Craig Alvin for consistently creating a pro-quality mix from your home studio that will sound amazing everywhere. Listen to this quote from one of our students, David. Quote, absolutely the most informative and helpful block of information and mentoring on the mix process that I've ever been a part of. That was like sitting behind a mix engineer for years, watching and picking up tips along the way, but condensed into a 6 to 7 hour session, close quote. Look, I'm so confident that this will take your mixes to the next level that if you can't get a killer mix within 30 days, I'll give you a full refund, no questions asked. So if you're ready to take your mixes to Grammy-winning quality, then go to ultimatemixingmasterclass.com and start now by checking out the free preview of the Ultimate Snare Mixing Trick. And I'll see you at the front row table of the Grammys. Cheers. All right, I'm just going to look at, I already forgot what, I had something queued up in my brain, but I'm just going to look at my questions. So, you know, a ton of different records you've worked on. You know, I wrote down notes about Wraith with Chance the Rapper.
Yeah.
It's like big ass kick plus bass. And I was just sort of curious if you wanted to talk about how do those two things live together. I feel like when I came from a world of making rock records, and when I got curious about making, you know, things that were more like EDM or hip hop leaning, I had to relearn how to think about the kick drum. You know, it's not even necessarily a drum. It's like a, you know, 808 or something.
Yeah.
And the bass guitar. And, you know, I started to discover like, oh, you just hear both at full volume, full frequency all the time. They like, there's trade-offs that happen and stuff. And so talk a little bit about that. Like, how does the thump, the low end go together with like long notes on a bass guitar, anything that comes to mind?
I mean, like I think most people have it in hip hop. Most people, you know, nowadays, you would assume that the 808 is the most dominant or whatever thing in hip hop. And I would always say that it's second or third to the kick. Like, it's always been like a hard kick is like that's what hip hop is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing soft about like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's the thing that hits you in the chest.
It has to have that, because even the 808s have kicks in them now. So like, there's 808s where like you might not have a kick hitting with the 808, but there's a kick in the sample of the 808 that makes it hit like in a kick way. You know what I mean?
And is it fair that we even use the term 808 anymore? Is that like saying Frisbee, you know, when there's like 10 different brands? I mean, does it always come from an 808 original, you know, at first? And
I mean
808 sort of means like the long bass.
Exactly. Yeah. 808 doesn't mean like rolling TR 808 no more. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but it just means a loud bass sound. That's what it means now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I feel like most of the 808s today didn't come from, you know, the classic 808 machine at all. You know what I mean? But it's 808 basically means the same as like Kleenex now.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't
much better reference than Frisbee.
No, I mean, it's just like everything that you blow your nose with is not a Kleenex, but it's just like, that's what you're going to call it. You know what I mean?
Plus, if you get the bass right, you can be cleaning something up.
Yeah, you know what I mean? If you're just going to be like, yo, let me get a Kleenex over there. It might be an off-brand, whatever. You know what I mean? But we know what we're talking about. It's like, oh, you're talking about something to blow your nose with. You know what I mean? It's like 808 means loud.
So the 808, that kind of like low bass tone kick, that like there's all these different approaches too. Like some music, how often do you feel like a production you're doing, the note of that is changing with the progression and following it kind of like a bass line? And how often is a production just staying on one note?
For me, I would say it's like 97% of it is doing some kind of change, like something, like for sure, like at least like one other note or something. You know what I mean? A lot, pretty much always. Yeah, at least two notes in there.
So, what does that leave you for space as a bass player who's picking up a bass guitar? Do those get to live together sometimes?
Not at the same time, but like I said, like when it comes to records, I'm just whatever I need to be. So it's like if I'm doing the record and like I said, Chance the Rapper's pulling up, or I'm doing a record with, you know, with Tech or Jay Stone or something, and I know they want hard hip hop. Unless it's like the samples leading to me being the bass player guy or adding bass to it, I'm not even going to pick. We don't even need to have the bass around. Like, there's no, like, I'll pull up to certain sessions and all I bring is my laptop because that's all I know. I know we're not about to be recording no live, nothing. We're just programming beats.
Right. Okay.
so that's what, like, there's people, you know, this is interesting. There's people that know me today still, and they kind of know, but they don't really know. They forget that I'm a bass player. They just know me as a producer. And to them, like, nowadays, producer means the guy that brings his laptop and makes the beats.
Right.
That's what producer means now. Like, it doesn't mean the Quincy Jones. It means the guy that does the drums on his laptop. That's the producer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, there's like, I would say probably like 40% of people know me as that. And then 60% of people know that I played a bass on a very high level. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, for me, I'm just kind of trying to exist. Whatever we're doing, I'm just trying to exist in that, whatever we need to do to get paid and get the record out. You know what I'm saying? So
if you're producing beats on, you know, you're in Ableton,
yeah,
and you're searching for the hip hop kick, you know, that's got the thump, and then you're also looking for the 808 tone. Like, what are some of the things that you want to talk about as far as how do you organize stuff and go find sounds? What are some of the tools that you would use to, like, there's the sound, let's, you know, here's the 10 options or whatever.
I feel like I have a good I don't know what the word is, but a good, like, category system. When I find something that I like, I always categorize it. And honestly, like, for me, the way that I make music, a lot of times, like, we'll record a song, and let's say, like, there's this you're a guitar player, so you played this really cool guitar part, right? And I'm like, damn, that was, like, super cool. I mean, I'm gonna save that and I'm gonna categorize this, and I'm gonna put, you know, whatever key the song is in, because then I might be able to drag that guitar part into a new song. In Ableton, so crazy, you can reverse it and slow it down to where it sounds like a whole other guitar part. You know what I mean?
And do you feel like that? So like I played a guitar and it was in the lane of Ableton.
Yep.
But then you just grab a clip of it and it becomes like a sample in the player, and then you can just save that, name it and save it, and there it is. Like that would be harder to do in Pro Tools, right?
Probably yes. I mean, I'm not gonna say yeah.
I think your answer means don't. I think your answer means don't question. Do it in Ableton.
Yeah. I would say yes, but like, you know, I just have I kind of categorize where I'm like, okay, this 808 is hard. You know what I mean? And I'm not afraid to use the same sounds. I mean, it's like, dude, like if we're making like with these beats specifically, I'll tell everybody, man, if you're a beat maker, everybody will tell you like learn, like I'm like, yes, you should learn as much about music as you can. Learn music theory, learn something, like learn some kind of instrument, learn what the note C looks like on the piano. Like it's be able to go to the piano and hit a C. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I also get how some people don't have the luxury to even learn that. And I'm like, don't let that deter you, because with these beats, it doesn't matter, bro. Like at the end of the day, all the beats are the same. It's just like you just got to network and get your beat to the right person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I'm going to give a shout out to somebody who's hopefully listening to this. This is a shout out to you, Zach. Zach's a young guy who's in high school, I think, and making beats, and was talking to me at a soccer game. And I was like, you need to listen to the podcast and check out some of the guests on here. Get some good advice for you.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if Zach would, like, you play whatever, like.
He's making beats. He's making beats.
You can be a beat maker. And like, I feel like most of the biggest producers today are beat makers. They're not producing anything. Like they're making the beat. Cause like a lot of how hip hop works nowadays is I can make the beat. Like we did the thing for Ray. Like, so here's how that song, like the Chance the Rapper song works. Like myself and this guy, Beat Butcher, who's like phenomenal. What he does is he makes samples. So it's like he has all this old gear. We go to his apartment in Koreatown, and then people just all day long just pull up and we make these musical compositions, basically. You know what I mean? And we'll run them through tape and make them sound all old and weird. You know what I mean? But these are original compositions. So what we did was we made that, and then he sent that composition to this kid, Smoko Uno, who is a beat maker that he grew up with Chance. He's done tons of records with Chance. Smoko heard that sample and was like, yo, this is hard. Put the drums to that beat. That's how that song came about. I wasn't in the studio when Chance recorded that record. Like none of us were, honestly. Like he made the beat and sent it to him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't there producing Chance the Rapper's like vocals or none of that. You know what I'm saying? This is like, so like nowadays, that's how it works. Like you don't even, it's not like the old school Quincy Jones where he's chilling with Michael Jackson and seeing the whole process from A to Z. Like, it's just like, bro, make a beat, send it out. The rapper get on it or whoever. You might not even like I would say 90% of the people that make beats nowadays haven't heard the song until it comes out.
Wow.
95%.
That's a good perspective to have.
That's the first time. If that's the first, they're hearing it for the first time when you're hearing it.
Yeah.
Like they've already done paperwork maybe on it, but it's like you don't even know what the song sounds like because you didn't even hear it. It's like you just know that like, hey, Drake rapped on this beat that I don't even know what the song sounds like, but he got on there. You know what I mean? So, but they're producers. Like, so you know what I'm saying? Like you don't even have to be in the same continent as these people anymore, let alone.
I love that description of just like getting together and just making all these weird compositions. That just sounds like the fun part of making music in the studio.
Think about it, like
being a mad scientist.
You gotta think, I tell everybody this thing is a numbers game. Like you gotta think about it. Like at some point, a lot of the people that do the drums and stuff are the ones that I'm trying to think of a good. I guess I would be one of those people where it's like I'm in with the artist. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I create a relationship with the artist, with the actual artist. They pull up to my studio. I know them. We talk. you almost have to be a therapist in a certain way with artists. You know
I've been there. I've been there.
So like, I work with artists like directly. You know what I mean? So let's say you got to think about it. It's like, okay, if your talent is just making cool music, like compositions, you can do that at your house in your pajamas all day long. You can make 20, 30 different things, and you can send those things out, and you never have to go meet with anybody. And you could do 30 records from that just by sending that out. You could have 30 records and have publishing, a good amount of publishing on 30 records from just making music in your pajamas at your house. Not bad. You know what I mean? Really.
I start to miss people when I'm in the studio by myself too much.
I mean, hey, I put it like this: if you got a Drake record from something that you did, just, you know, whatever from 30 years ago, that you like, a record you don't even care about anymore, and that check hits, you gonna be like, okay.
All right, good idea.
Yeah. Let me figure something out. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, somebody like Beat Butcher is he has it, the way he has it set up is dope, because, you know, he doesn't even really play. He's like he's a mastermind of like putting people together and understanding how to make a vibe that sounds vintage and cool, but like how to make it now. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has all this really dope gear. He knows how to put it together in a way where it's like, okay, let's just make a bunch of random ideas, and then I'll just send all these. We'll get all these ideas out, and everybody that's a part of him has their own network of people. So it's like, you got to think about, like, Butcher probably does like 100 records, 200 records a year just from making samples. You know what I'm saying?
This podcast is proud to present Recording Studio Rockstars Academy. Are you ready to take your recording, mixing, and mastering to the next level and make your best record ever? Then visit the Academy to find the course that's right for you. Want to record killer drums in your home studio? Then check out Rockstars of Drums to learn how to record, edit, and mix pro-sounding drums with a professional Nashville session drummer in a Grammy-winning studio. Or if you're ready to start mastering your own records at home, then check out Rockstars of Mastering, where I walk you through exactly how I master my own records using nothing but plugins. Plus, I take you into a world-class mastering studio, Sterling Sound, to meet with Ryan Smith and hear how he professionally mastered my record, Skadoosh, for release to streaming platforms. That's the music you hear on this podcast, Rockstars. And if mixing is your focus, then check out my free mixing course, Mix Master Bundle, where I show you how to mix using stock and free plugins in Pro Tools. Plus, you get a look at how I recorded everything in my studio and multi-track downloads for you to practice mixing and even upload to your website if you want. Are you ready to make your best record ever? Then go to recordingstudiorockstars.com/academy to get started now. Yeah, I think that sounds really cool. And if I say that back to you, he's got the studio and the environment and the setup where he can bring people together. You guys are making music without a map. You're just going for maybe there's a little bit of a
not really. Honestly, no. Just make whatever you want to make. Like,
make whatever you want. Like, just whatever the moment feels like.
Exactly. Yeah. Make whatever.
And then that goes out. That disseminates out through everybody and to different opportunities so that somebody can take it and run with it. But then, if it's fair, one of the things you talked about was like, then call the lawyers and let them sort out the business side of making sure that this stuff is all kept track of in the right way.
Yep.
What about in a process like that? When is the right time? How does it get, I mean, how would we think about keeping track of what we did?
Ideally would be like the second that the artist records anything, even if it's not coming out, whatever. Like ideally, it'd be that time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
With hip hop,
and the artist is not in that Beat Butcher studio session. The artist gets it later and says, "I love this.
Yeah,
let's
exactly.
work with this."
But the artist is, you know what I mean? Like, if the artist is writing their rap, they're going to be a part of the publishing because they're a songwriter now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, ideally it would be that moment. With hip hop, I mean, it's never that though. You know what I'm saying? Like with hip hop, like I said, because it happens so fast. Like you like a hip hop artist can get a track and then have that song be out days later. You know what I'm saying? So like a lot of that stuff, you might be doing splits after the song is out.
Wow.
Because it happens that fast. Like you like honestly, like with hip hop, there's moments where you're working with the artist on another song, and that song just came out, and you still have, you know what I'm saying? Like you still haven't done the splits on that song, you know what I mean? Which is not ideal, but it happens. You know what I'm saying? Because it's such a fast moving thing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like it's smart to work with people that you trust and work with professionals in the business side that are good at this stuff. But what advice do you ever have for, the young beat maker producer who's like, should I just start putting this stuff up on my Instagram and start from and build it from there? Are there any lessons learned about like dumb moves versus smart moves?
Yeah, for like all the young people, like, I would say definitely just try to get yourself out there as much as possible and be a student of the game. Like that's the one thing I had to do. I like when, it's a little bit different now, I guess, because, when I started, there was still, you could still get CDs, or you could at least like find the liner notes. I think you can still do that. You can still find like liner notes somewhere.
Yeah, there's new Muso AI, I think, is one of the services online and things like that are trying to bring back credits for records.
Do that. Like, so like whatever you got to do, like just be smart. And, I'll tell people, because that's what I started doing. I was like, dang, I really, I'm in Missouri. Like this is not, Tech Nine is one of the biggest, he's the biggest independent artist to ever do music. Yeah, there's that. But like other than that, there's like, this is Kansas City. This is not LA, New York. There's not a lot of music scene out, as far as the recording industry goes.
Right. So there's no way you would know who did what. You probably knew a lot about the jazz scene at that point.
Oh yeah, I knew everybody in the jazz, but it's a whole different thing, So I'm like, man, I don't really know pretty much anything. But like I'm like, okay, cool. Like what I'm gonna do is every time that Jay-Z dropped the album, I'm gonna get those liner notes and I'm gonna look and see who's the producer, and then I'm gonna look them up and I'm gonna follow them on Instagram. And if they're too big, you can tell people that are too big, they're probably not gonna respond to you. Then I'm gonna look and see who's the co-producer. Like I'm gonna follow that guy, and then I'm gonna hit them up, and then I'm gonna see, okay, who's the engineer? Like let me follow the engineer, because then maybe they know. And then like, man, who's the session musicians on this? Like let me follow all the musicians and see how they got to do the session or whatever. You know what I mean?
And don't forget about the assistant engineer and the runner at the studio. If you could find out who those people are.
All of those people, like literally, like I like went in, and then you start seeing certain people's names that you don't necessarily know, but you just see their names like on a lot of different stuff, and you're like, dang, like, okay, this person is doing a lot. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me so like
check this out, Dom. The interview I did just before this, so they'll probably come out in that same order, is with Steve Genowick, who mixes at Capitol, and one of the records that he did, you'll really appreciate. He did the Atmos mix of Kind of Blue.
Fire.
Right?
Yeah, it's fire.
He was a runner at the studio when he started out.
First thing. Shout out to Capitol Records. Like Capitol, like Steve knows one of my
and a night runner at that,
Yeah. one of my friends I went to high school with, and I know like Capitol's going through their whatever, like I don't know what's happening over there, but like they're like remodeling, quote unquote, over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of my guys I went to high school with is a engineer over there too. This dude Jeff Fitzpatrick. And Capitol, like that wasn't in the story earlier, but it's a true story. Like Capitol, when I first came back to LA, I didn't have a studio, and me and Jeff went to high school, and I was using Capitol Studio. He was letting me use that whenever nobody was there. So I was just like, I was pulling up the Capitol like every day. And during that time, John Mayer was downstairs recording. I can't remember what album it was, but I think it wasn't that long ago. So like one of his fairly newer albums. So it was like John, Pino was there, Steve Jordan, that whole crew. And
nice.
I was like there. I was there like there somewhat. Like John, he literally like he saw me in the hall. He's like, "Yo, like who are you? I was like, oh, Dominique. He's like, man, I've been seeing you like over here, like what you working on? And then I was just like, man, I'm not much, man. I'm just up here like making beats. And he's like, he's like, what? Like, how are you like here making beats in the like in the main room and like upstairs everywhere? It was just like a funny like time. That was like before I even had a studio out here. So like, yeah.
Did you try out the chambers when you were making beats?
I did go down to the chamber. I didn't use them though. I didn't use. I'm messing around with the EMT. They have the original like
the plug-in now. Yeah.
Well, they have the actual
plates.
Yeah, the R2D2 looking thing. Like,
yeah, that thing's cool.
Yeah, they have one of those, and then they obviously had the Fairchild. I didn't never use that, but yeah, shout out to Capitol, man. Like, really good people over there. I like them a lot.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Well, man, it's been really fun hanging out with you, dude. I love hearing all your stories and stuff, and I can definitely tell that your vibe would be a lot of fun in the studio. So thank you for doing the podcast with us. I've got a closing question for you. This one's hypothetical, but I like to ask it of all our guests. We could take the Wayback Studio machine. You go back in time and you find young Dom, working on his upright, and probably saying like, man, why does this hurt my fingers so much?
Yeah.
And you say, listen, I'll come back to give you this one bit of advice. Here's the single most important thing you need to know to be a rock star of the studio yourself one day. If you could go back and give yourself some advice, what advice would you like to go back and give yourself?
That's a good question. I think the biggest advice I would give to my, I don't know, I guess how old himself, but like,
that's your call.
Okay, yeah, like
which version of Don really needed a good talking to?
Yeah, I would say like 19 is to do exactly what you think that you should be doing for your life. Do that as soon as you know that that's a thing. Some people still have to figure it out, but like if you know exactly what you should want to do for your own personal life and don't worry about what everybody else wants you to do and all that, like just do that. That'd be my advice.
How much of that leans towards the creative side of what you're referring to versus like the financial and life and family
it's all the same. It's all the same. Like now I officially do that. Like it's all the same because it's like you gotta understand. It's like that's like some of the most confusing times of your life when you're 18 and 19 is like you don't really know. You know what I mean? Pretty much anything. Like, but you're like an adult now all of a sudden, kind of.
Yeah.
But you really don't know anything. And then, but there are some kids where it's like, you know what? I want to do this music thing. And not only do I want to do it, I know I'm going to do it. And I'm going to figure out how to do it. Like, if that's what if you firmly believe that, then do it. Because like, you got to like, doing that is not going to be like the path of least resistance. There's going to be a lot of resistance in that. I work in the music. If my 18-year-old kid was like, yo, that I'm gonna be a music producer, I would be like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what I do. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
well, if you're 33 and you got an 18-year-old kid, then man, you were getting started early.
No, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I know. Well, like, yeah, I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like even our kids, they were like, yo, Dad, I'm gonna go full time in the music business. Like, we'd be, happy, but there would definitely be some like, you sure? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think I'd be excited. I've got a daughter, and I'd be excited about it, but I'd probably also be like full of advice and tips and like, make sure you get this right. Make sure you get that right.
Exactly. So you got to imagine, for the kids out there that their parents don't my mom still doesn't know. She don't know of like publishing or nothing. And I was able to get her like a career. Like she doesn't know nothing. She doesn't understand, but she gets it now. It's like, oh, you're okay. Like parents, all they want to know is like, are you good? Okay, cool. You make enough money. Like everything's good. Cool. That's all they care about at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you hear stories about somebody explaining like, it's like, what do you do? And you're like, oh, I got a YouTube channel. Like, what does that mean? How do you make a living doing that?
There's no point.
Imagine explaining to your non-music parents, I make beats, and they're like, I don't even know what that means.
Right. Yeah. And at 18, that can sound crazy. So it's like, that's what I would say. I would tell anybody out there, like, if you really think, if you really believe, like, man, maybe I shouldn't go to college and I should just go full force and I'm gonna make it work. Do it.
Now, was that expression making beats, was that always present through your whole music career, or did that make an appearance somewhere during your journey?
No, that was later. Like I was a bass, like I said, I'm still am like the bass player. You know what I mean? Like there was no reason for me to make beats because we was playing so many shows. Like we were making great money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was traveling, like literally traveling the world. I was gone. I was in Kiev, Ukraine, and Russia and India. Like,
did you do one of those State Department tours?
Kinda, yeah. Like like literally, like this is not exact. I mean, like at one point, like even when I met Kelly, like that was kind of the joke. Like she was just like, cause I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna leave. I'll be back in a few weeks. She's like, where are you going? I'll be like, yeah, I'm going over to Odessa, Ukraine. She's like, what? It's like, let me guess, you're like hanging out with the president over there. I'm like, yeah. It's just like, yo, you're crazy. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, the bass.
And then you're like, hey, by the way, what do I bring as a house gift to the president?
Right. But literally, you know, like the bass took me all around the world. It takes me all around, like still. So like, there was no reason to make, I tell people all the time, it's like, bro, like I can stop doing records today and just go back to playing the bass full time and be fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it'll be more than good. But you know, I love doing it all. So it's, you know, that's you know, I just want to try to have a good time.
Well, I think my brother once told me if you're a tuba player in New Orleans, you never want for a gig. You're always working.
Yeah, not for sure. Like bass even more. You know, I'm glad I didn't pick up that trombone.
All right, dude, that's a great closing line right there. Yeah. Hey, Dom, thanks for hanging with us on Recording Studio Rockstars. Rockstars, thanks for listening. And Dom, I look forward to meeting you around the studio sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, hey, I forgot. Just let the Rockstars know where they can find you online. Where would you like them to reach out to you? What if they're ready to just produce their next hit record and they want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, definitely. So you can find me on Instagram. It is bass is at or whatever, Bassman816. So B as in boy, like bass, BASSMAN 816. That'll pop up there.
Nice. I'm looking at your Instagram page right now, and there's a video of you with the sound turned off, but you're walking into the Village Vanguard.
Yes. Yeah. I played there for the first time. That was a year ago? No, 2 years now, actually. So that was an experience. That was great. Yeah, Village Vanguard is legendary for sure. You know what I mean?
Okay, cool. I didn't mean to cut you off though. Anything else? Any other places you want them to check out?
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, hit me on there if you want to email me. Actually, yeah, just hit me on there because like my emails run out of storage. So like just hit me on there.
Right on, man. And then Rockstars, just a reminder, we'll have links to all this in the show notes, including Dom's playlist. And please do go check that out because some really great sounding records and an awesome variety of stuff. And if you're, you know, if you make hip hop, you're going to love it. If you don't, and you're curious, you're going to love it because there's a lot of great sounds in there.
Yeah. Any dope sample makers, reach out. Let's work. We always there's nothing but records to have.
You heard it, Zach. You know how to get started as a beat maker now. So listen to Dom and do what he said.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. Good to see you, dude.
All right.
Look forward to talking to you soon. Cheers. Thanks so much for listening to Recording Studio Rockstars. If you enjoyed the show and want to help make it better, then please share this episode with your friends on social media and leave a rating and review on iTunes to help the podcast reach more rock stars like yourself. You can click directly over to iTunes or go to rsrockstars.com/review for an easy explanation. And remember to hit the subscribe button to keep up with weekly episodes. And if you're ready to make your best record ever now, then head over to Recording Studio Rockstars Academy, where you can start with my free course at mixmasterbundle.com. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks for being a rock star. I'm Lid Shaw, and this is Recording Studio Rockstars. Now, go make great music. Recording Studio Rockstars would like to give a big thank you to our amazing sponsors who help make this episode possible. Lewitt, Grace Design, Adam Audio, Native Instruments, and Isotope. And remember, at isotope.com and nativeinstruments.com, use the coupon code ROCK10 for 10% off any plugin purchase. If you enjoyed Recording Studio Rockstars, then please check out our sponsors using the links in our show notes below, because it's a great way to help support this show. These are all things I highly recommend for your studio because they're going to help you make your best record ever. I would also like to thank our fantastic team here at Recording Studio Rockstars, Vlad Wasilchenko, Braden Stremming, and Liz Hulitskaya. Thanks so much for listening, Rockstars, and we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.